Hello, everyone. This is my methodological critique of Karen Held's interdisciplinary collaboration in art, media, and science, as well as the discussion on the artwork called In-Betweenness. Dr. Karen Held is a practice-based visual artist, filmmaker, and researcher who received her PhD in practice-based art and MA in contemporary fine arts practice from Leeds Beckett University. She's a senior fellow at the Higher Education Academy, Bangor University, and works as program leader of art and design practice at Wrexham Glendower University in Wales. Held has been a lecturer of contemporary fine arts since 2004, and she uses a variety of media in her work, including photography, video, and painting, to explore the visual poetic language of film and painting, in order to communicate difficult social issues with subtle oblique visual stanzas. The concept of painterly is important in Held's work, and painterly is a non-linear and less formal approach to painting and visual art, such as in the works of Vincent van Gogh. Painterly helps Held describe her exploration of creativity through the temporal and spatial markers of time and sight. Held relies on collaborative approaches in her work to innovate and create with people from multidisciplinary perspectives who have unique skills. These collaborations often involve artists, scientists, and medical practitioners. Held has also worked as an artist in residence for the National Health Service Acute Inpatient Psychiatric Department in the United Kingdom on a collaborative arts and psychology project called In-Betweenness, which is the artwork I'll be discussing today. Held's methodology is interdisciplinary collaboration in fine arts, media, and science. The collaborative methodology has been used in the hard and social sciences as well as in fine arts, and has led to the creation of fields such as cognitive science, which combines linguistics, psychology, computer science, philosophy, neuroscience, and anthropology, as well as oceanography, which combines physics, chemistry, geology, and biology. In the fine arts, we have seen artists collaborate in various ways in order to create establishments and new movements such as the avant-garde, Dada, and collaborative art practices. These collaborations have led to improved knowledge, understanding, and innovative problem solving fostered by unique perspectives and creativity. The fields of fine arts and sciences, however, have been in opposition because of differences in ways of being, language, modes of discourse, and understanding of the world. These issues were further exacerbated by the scientific revolution of the past century, which promoted supremacy of the sciences. Held and Accord argue that despite these differences, collaboration between the fine arts and sciences yield the new insights and new forms of understanding that open up the future, since knowledge is increasingly interdisciplinary and the traditional barriers between existing disciplines are being broken down to make progress. The In-Betweenness project is an example of a collaborative approach that yielded outcomes. This project occurred between 2010 and 2013 at Gwynedd Hospital in Bangor, UK, and was funded by the Arts Council of Wales and the North Wales Clinical School. Held and collaborators including Dr. Susan Liggett, a practice-based artist and painter, Dr. Richard Tranter, a consulting psychiatrist, Dr. Rob Poole, a professor of social psychiatry and mental health, applied a collaborative approach to study the relationship between traditional and new media art, psychology, and psychiatry. Held and Accord developed a methodology specifically for this project called the Artistic Collaborative Methodology, or ACM, which is discussed further in the next section. By doing so, the collaborators challenged the methodologies and theories of traditional fine art practice and healthcare by facilitating stimulating discourse, collaborative interactions, and experimentation in order to achieve the goals of artistic and mental health outcomes for this project. The scientists were interested in this project based on studies which used photography to survey the implications of ADHD stimulant treatment on the personal authenticity of children being treated. The artists, on the contrary, were interested in uncovering the use of creativity and pre-verbal language to navigate the patient's transition from the state of depression to recovery. The research cohort together wanted to identify to what degree depression recovery and antidepressant therapy affect the range of psychological processes and ultimately how the experience of the patient changes during treatments. The Artistic Collaborative Methodology, or ACM, uses the practice of research creation to promote practice-based research and unpack the collaborative strategies which the artists and scientists pursue in order to achieve the goals of the In-Betweeners project. The figure illustrates the practice of research creation according to ACM and demonstrates the collaborative practice-based research model which combines the fine arts practice of painting and filmmaking with the scientific practice of psychiatry and healthcare. Health collaboration with Liggett is a long-standing artistic relationship where their filmmaking and painting practices inform their research interests. They use a method called aesthetic creative research to investigate ethical, political, and social issues in order to find the interactions between society, science, media, and art through play and imagination. By doing so, they ponder the offerings that science and art bring to the cultural context which they are studying. This technique allows Held and Liggett to apply their unique understandings to elicit various sensory intelligences, or kinesthetic learnings. Held uses the techniques of various philosophers, filmmakers, and writers such as Julia Kristeva, Bill Viola, and Andre Breton to engage the process of script writing and recording her photographs and films. Kristeva's semiotic concept of the chora is of note since it aids in defining Held's notion of the implicit visual representations of time and transitory strata, which is the progression through various states of being, as depicted in In-Betweenness. Held films in unfamiliar locations and conditions to foster serendipity. However, she also uses staging, temporality, and situated practice, for instance, in a hospital setting, by putting the subject at the center of the creative act, albeit guided by the artist's methods. Liggett uses the act of painting photographs and imagery generated by the process of filmmaking and photography to enable re-experiencing of the work through a concept of psychological resonance, which according to Liggett is a metaphoric vibration resulting from an inner dialogue between subject and object, in that it relates to the stage in the creative process where one cannot articulate in words exactly what one intends to create. Held and Liggett reconcile psychological resonance with chora by using the creative framework Liggett devised for a PhD thesis, combined with the creative practice amalgamating conceptual framework, which they both devised for the In-Betweenness project. This process superimposes the tactile and sensory process of painting onto photography and film, thereby enabling reciprocity between unique media and collaborators. This reconciliation allows a filmmaker's inner dialogue to become apparent through painting. By using the concept of the chora and psychological resonance, Held and Liggett generated novel concepts such as dream films, transitory strata, and in-betweenness. In essence, these dream films are representations of transitional spaces of mind, the imaginary states between wake and sleep, reverie, the unconscious, and layers of consciousness, such as that of the creative or depressive and psychotic who travels between several time zones simultaneously. These films are a painterly nonlinear narrative approach to direct the filmmaker to a place of nuanced wakefulness where they creatively express the passage of time and place and reveal the experience of unconscious transitory states of mind. The artists built upon the previous work of the psychiatrists by proposing their unique artistic perspective on depression and antidepressant therapy. Patients were screened and selected based on their need to undergo antidepressant treatment for depression by pool, and their informed consent to take part in the project was gained. The artists provided patients with the parameters around filming, which included exploratory text and images, found objects, and filming equipment. Filming began a day prior to the patient being administered antidepressant medication by pool. Patients then made films in collaboration with the artists or by themselves. The films patients made were then discussed with the artists and were subsequently recorded and transcribed. A framework analysis qualitative method was used to identify specific themes in the transcript material in order to identify how the patient's sense of agency, personal authenticity, and sense of self had changed. The conceptual framework devised by Held and her cohort helped produce a new form of creative expression by putting the video camera in the hands of the patient. This painterly approach promoted innovation in a professional art context, i.e., filmmaking and painting, as well as in healthcare, i.e., psychiatry. The body of work produced by this project raised £20,000 for the dissemination of artworks as a touring international exhibition. Research findings were also disseminated at conferences and published in both academic and scientific journals, such as the Royal College of Psychiatry's journal. Examples of the resulting artworks can be viewed on Held's site, which I have provided in the slide. Regarding healthcare outcomes, one participant showed significant recovery from depression after she completed the 6-week treatment. The framework analysis of her transcript and films showed that she became more aware of external stimuli and appreciated the beauty of her surrounding environment. Her sense of shame reduced. She displayed more openness and self-acceptance, and could value her productions where she had not previously. These results show that engaging in creativity during treatment for mental illness can help patients create a new personal narrative, which is insightful, purposeful, and meaningful. The interactions between the artist and the patient, along with antidepressant treatment prescribed and monitored by the psychiatrist, promoted a therapeutic effect which also aided in the patient's recovery. Finally, this project provided clinicians with a roadmap to investigate creativity's role in recovery from depression. Critiquing Hell's methodology was difficult, since I am biased towards collaboration as an interdisciplinary research-based artist. Ironically, collaborating with a partner was helpful in assessing the methodological framework of this article. Mia Bell and I are both educated in psychology and have taken the artistic route in our continuing education. Our main concern about the interdisciplinary collaboration project in between us was related to the lack of agency given to the patients during the research design process as it relates to participatory action research, or PAR, specifically in the vein of patient-oriented research methods. PAR is a methodology in the social sciences which places the population being studied at the helm of creating and executing the research design and methods in collaboration with researchers in order to gain insight into a community, according to Pant. Patient-oriented research is a form of PAR which is specific to the patient who is undergoing treatment or who has been diagnosed with an ailment. The primary concern here about the methods being used by Held and Associates is that despite the collaborative approach being used by the experts, that is, the scientists and artists, the patient has been left out of the design process and is being used solely as a case study. Many accolades can be given to the In-Betweeners project, such as fostering perspective taking between the patient, artist, and the physician, and gathering fresh ideas about how research could be done. However, the patient seems to only generate material for the researchers and audience to consume. This is worrisome. The parameters set by the collaborators helped the patients keep focused on the task at hand. However, it would have been useful to explore what sort of designs the patients would have come up by themselves if they had been provided with an integral part in the research design process. An example of such a contribution would have been to allow patients to choose the found objects or exploratory images themselves, or by allowing them to provide insight into how they would like to film and paint their works, or to find out if they would have wanted to use or incorporate other types of media into their filmmaking. This approach may have given a much wider perspective and avenues to play with concepts, ideas, and feedback. The sample size was also small. Therefore, it cannot be determined whether one patient's experience using these techniques and methods is generalizable to the population of patients undergoing antidepressant treatments. The relevance of the In-Betweeners project, however, is that it is an example of how interdisciplinary collaboration between arts and sciences can work. This project demonstrates how links can be established between the arts and sciences through shared research and authorship of collaborative projects. Furthermore, this project shows the promise of demonstrating efficacy in regards to healthcare outcomes and enhancements of creativity and research subject participation. This project has given me a lot to think about as an emerging digital artist, since I foresee my work heavily relying on collaborations between myself and other artists as well as scientists. Held in a cohort have demonstrated that these sort of interdisciplinary projects are possible and even advantageous in regard to creating new forms of art, while also generating new research ideas, novel studies, and bodies of works, all of which are a boon for an artist such as myself.